There's more than one sensitivity called conscience. It can be diverse. And yes, he was very stubborn, and it created a schism, and then there were a lot of other schisms, and we don't like it when we look back on them. But at the same time, a richness appeared. That's the weird thing about the Protestant history. It was a horrible, clashing history, and at the same time, it disclosed richness. It disclosed the treasure of diversity. And the whole Western society was benefiting from this diversity because we discovered the notion of authenticity. And also secularized people noticed that there is richness in the individual life and that we can complement each other. And the funny thing is that it is still a biblical concept because this is body language. The body of Christ language. This is arms and legs being diverse and still there is one body. There is the arm and there's the leg. They may have different conscience sensitivities. Like the one is green and the other is full of righteousness. You know, you have these different conscience sensitivities. And we're complementing each other. So there is still the body language. And as long as you keep it in the body, and as long as you keep the freedom of conscience and the freedom of faith, as long as you keep it in the body, there's no problem. But there we have the problem again. What happens? Luther would never disconnect the conscience from the community of faith. Freedom, the freedom to make your choices, would never be a solid and a lonely enterprise for Luther. It was always within the community. If you want to know what faith to embrace and how to persevere in faith, you need a community. Freedom will only flourish in a body where people complement each other, where people can encourage each other. And for us, it's very, very basic to embrace this idea. But still, it got lost in Europe. Because making your own choices became more and more disconnected from the community of faith. And we more and more went on a lonely, individual, spiritual journey. And many people quit church because they didn't see the community element anymore in the institute that they quit. And they left the church, they left the community, and they went on a lonely spiritual path, journey. And there we have the new problem. We have the spiritual desorientation, and we have the people who long for a spiritual answer, but they think they need to find it on their own. They think it's an expression of authenticity to find your own answer. And that's exactly not what Luther meant. That's exactly not the beginning of the path to authenticity. It was always, there's diversity. This is called freedom, and there's differences, but it's always within the body. Yes, you are different as an arm, but there's also a leg. And there are other elements, and together there's the body. If you quit the community and you want to have a spiritual journey on your own, that's a tough path. Go back to the community. You need others for the full colors of God's wisdom. For all the colors of God's wisdom. Peace, finally, peace is the most beautiful word in the Bible. Shalom, soteria. You know, if you want to have the full package, go to Shalom, go to soteria. You have everything in it. It's not only heavenly peace, it's the full taste of good wine. If you lack the senses to taste the full richness of wine, the Shalom will bring it to you. And there is it. It's not only heavenly peace, it's the full package. It's everything in it. All the senses will work properly. The memory will work properly. Everything you need. And there it is, the peace. So it was clear from the beginning. As soon as the word Shalom entered the cosmos, it was clear that we couldn't bring it ourselves. It was clear that this was meant to be a gift. This is too much for a human. And so it was a gift. And we called upon God and we said, please give us Shalom. Make your face shine upon us and give us Shalom. It was clear. And we had to seek refuge. It was clear. If you want to get to Shalom, you have to seek refuge. It's in that silent place. And there is the cathedral in the Middle Ages. In the midst of suffering, of illness, of death, everything outside was misery. And there is, in the cathedral, there was the Shalom, the sense of Shalom. There was something beyond human capacity. And there it was. It was Shalom because you couldn't do it. And so that's the secret of peace. And we did quite well in seeking refuge and seeking that peace in the church. And the beauty of the church was an expression of that peace. So don't take it only as a Protestant waste of money. That was an expression of peace. But then, of course, we did quite well after a few decades and a few centuries. And from the 15th century, we could do pretty well in bringing our own peace. And remember, peace was not only a lack of war, peace was health, wealth. And so we did quite well in finding health through science and finding wealth through economy. And we became more and more disconnected from this necessity to seek God's shalom. We did quite well without God's shalom. And we did well in health and we did well in wealth. And there's the tragedy. We became the most violent and bloodiest continent on earth and world history. What we did was, we did quite well on the one side of shalom, and we did incredibly bad on the other side of shalom. We were very well doing in health and wealth, and we were extremely doing bad in our violence. We had wars for 500, 400 years non-stop. As soon as there was a new cannon, we had to try it. And there was this competition in armory, and we had to have the latest armor to catch up with the neighbors, and we became very powerful because of that competition. And in the end, it was a piece of cake to conquer the world, because every weapon we used, we tried on each other. And we became very violent, but also very powerful and also prosperous in another sense. And then we fought ourselves again to bankruptcy. And then we have again this dissolution in the 20th century. And we finally discovered that it is very difficult for us to find the full peace on our own. Still, we have a lot of confidence in science because we're still improving in health. We're also having, well, today a little bit less, but we had some confidence in economy to create wealth. That's maybe over also. But, gradually, this postmodern disappointment also affected our notion of shalom. And now we're again in this marvelous starting point, this postmodern disappointment, that could be the entrance to rediscover the notion of shalom. And shalom is a gift. And we have to seek refuge. That's the word we need. We need to go back to the Psalms. We need a shelter of true peace in the midst of things that we cannot fully solve. And there we have it, back to the shalom beyond human capacity. And there we have the 4 values. I hope it was clear enough. It's very relational. If you want equality, if you want solidarity, freedom of and peace, you get God along with it, whether you like it or not. If you do it without God, it's not good enough. It will not work. The equality is beyond human strength. The solidarity is because there is a Father above human, the whole human bunch, everything. It's freedom because there's a community with a founding Father. And there is peace because you can never do it. And it's always beyond human capacity, and that's the benefit, that's the beauty of it. It's clear that we will not do it. And I think the postmodern stage is a beautiful stage. Because once you realize that all these values can only be accomplished through God, and through His grace, and by God enabling us, it's crystal clear that we have an excellent starting position. So welcome in the 21st century. This is the time to re-establish and reclaim the beautiful Christ-rooted significance of these 4 values. Thank you.
Thank you, Evert Jan. And you can, in the Hope magazine, the article by Evert Jan on rerouting Europe follows the same theme. I said before, Europe's future depends on our ability to reconnect with this story and relearn the values that it teaches us.